Major League Baseball spring training is in full effect. But before we can talk about the 2024 season, we have to take one final look back at the offseason and give our 3 ups and 3 downs right here on 3 Up, 3 Down. Let's go! Our first up of the offseason has to be to the Kansas City Royals. They've added to the lineup with Hunter Renfroe and Adam Frazier. They've added to the starting pitching with Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha. They continue to add to the bullpen. John Schreiber, Will Smith, Chris Stratton. This is a much, much deeper team. As well, throw in the 11-year contract extension for franchise star Bobby Witt Jr., the 30-30 man from last season. Oh, and include the announcement of a brand new downtown ballpark to be built in Kansas City, and this has the makings of a very impressive offseason for the Kansas City Royals. The biggest thing has to be the signing of Bobby Witt Jr. If that plays out, 11-year contract, less than $30 million in terms of the average annual value. That is a huge win, in my opinion, for the Royals. Yes, there's opt-outs and player options and all that along the way, but if he sticks around for that long, it is very impressive for the Kansas City Royals. And the fact that they're taking a run at the AL Central with all the depth they've added to this lineup. The question will be, how much more have they improved? They did lose 106 games last year. Even a 20-game win improvement would be a huge deal in Kansas City. But it's nice to see the Royals taking a win-now approach and really try to improve this team around superstar Bobby Witt Jr. And for that, they get an up. Our first down is going to be for the Cincinnati Reds. Now, I don't mind the players that they signed. They just don't seem to fit in the way I thought they would in Cincinnati. I like the signing of starting pitcher Nick Martinez. Even if he doesn't work out in the rotation, he's proven to be a very good swing man. So I think that's a very good stepping stone for the Reds in the rotation. And Nick Martinez had a very good year last year at the Padres. The two signings I really don't understand. First off, Jeimer Candelario. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Candelario as a player. I think he's a very good, talented player. Can play some third, can play some first. It just doesn't seem to fit in Cincinnati unless they're thinking that some of these young players may regress and potentially need some extra time in AAA. And maybe the guy they're thinking is Ellie De La Cruz. We saw far too much swing and miss from him last season, so maybe Candelario is a bit of a protection in that case. The other one is Frankie Montas. I don't mind Frankie Montas. You're trying to get him healthy. He hasn't been healthy for almost 2 seasons now. He was very, very good in Oakland at one time, but $16 million for a guy who basically hasn't pitched in a year and a half is a lot of money to be banking on, especially with this rotation needing some stability and needing some health. The Reds were really banged up in the rotation last year. Taking a flyer at $16 million for a guy who hasn't proven to be healthy, I don't think this is a very good fit for Cincinnati. I don't mind the players. We'll see how they work out, but the money and the fit just don't make sense to me, so I'm giving Cincinnati a down for their offseason. Our second up has to be for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes, it's a ton of money. $700 million for Shohei Ohtani. $325 million for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They picked up Manuel Margot and Tyler Glasnow from the Tampa Bay Rays. They did what the Dodgers do. They flexed their financial might. They have an incredible team built on consistency. They have an incredible market allowing them to bring in all kinds of money. And they use that financial power to really improve this team. Yes, Ohtani's not going to pitch this year, but even as a hitter, you have to expect him to be very explosive. And the expectation is that Yamamoto is going to be a top-end pitcher very soon in Major League Baseball. We'll see how quickly he can adapt to North American style. Now, the only reason I say that is because the Japanese leagues tend to space out their pitching starts more often, so we'll see how quickly Yamamoto adjusts to the schedule here in North America. But you know Ohtani is going to be ready to flex his might as a DH. There are some injury concerns, of course, the oblique with Ohtani, even the arm with him hitting. And Tyler Glasnow has been kind of glass the last few years, so we'll see if he can put together a full season. But overall, you have to really like what the Los Angeles Dodgers did. They took their biggest swing. They have probably the best talent in baseball. Now we'll see if it translates to on-field success. So for that, the Dodgers get an up for their offseason. Sticking with the Dodgers, though, my second down is going to be deferred money. Yes, I understand this is part of the collective bargaining agreement and the Dodgers did not break any rules. But the fact they can take an average annual value for Shohei Ohtani of $70 million per season and only have it count as $46 million in terms of luxury tax payment, that is not good for the game of baseball. They cannot be allowing this to happen. I fully expect to be taken out of the next collective bargaining agreement. The fact that the Dodgers can reduce that payment to Ohtani is just ridiculous in terms of luxury tax. They should be paying the full thing. Now, you might say, well, any team could have gone ahead and done this. Yeah, sort of. The only thing is, part of the agreement is after the second year, you have to have the money put away. So $70 million the Dodgers have to put away by the end of the second season to just show that they, in fact, do have the funds to eventually pay this contract. And we fully expect that. The Dodgers have the money to make this contract work. But not every team would have $70 million to put away and not have it deeply affect the rest of their team. So this is once again the Dodgers flexing that financial might and kind of messing with the CBA a little bit to bring down that luxury tax and make it a little easier to sign other players like Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So I do not like this system. I understand the Dodgers have done it perfectly well and have set themselves up for a lot of success, but this system gets a down from me. Our third and final up has to be the progress of young players in Major League Baseball and the promotion of young players. We've seen studs show up the last few years. Julio Rodriguez, Corbin Carroll, Bobby Witt Jr. have made a huge impact in the game of baseball. There's new guys ready to do it, guys like Jackson Holliday and Jackson Chourio, who signed the biggest contract of any player who's never played a game in the major leagues this offseason with the Milwaukee Brewers. And I absolutely love the promotion of young talent in baseball. And Major League Baseball has gone one step further with the spring breakout this spring training. You're going to see a team full of top prospects from each team play at least one game in the spring training season that's full of their top prospects. I think this is a huge way to promote the minor league systems for each team across baseball. We've seen young players step up more and more and contribute to major league teams even faster and sign longer term deals. I think this is a huge step forward for the game of baseball because unlike the other North American professional sports, a lot of times these guys get drafted and it's 3, 4, 5 years before we ever hear their name again. I think this is a great way to keep those names in the forefront of everyone's memory and really promote them across baseball. So this gets a big up from me. Our final down comes from the lack of signings and excitement this offseason. Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Matt Chapman, Cody Bellinger, Michael Lorenzen, Hyun-Jin Ryu, JD Martinez. These are all some of the top players still not signed at time of recording as spring training has already begun. Now, this is a huge issue for Major League Baseball. Unlike the other professional leagues, there is no salary cap. So there's no real push to get players signed. And in fact, it's not the league system and salary cap that really pushes teams to sign players. It's an owner's cap, essentially, as to how much money they're willing to spend. And because of that, there's no real urgency to sign players in Major League Baseball's offseason. Yes, we had good stories with the push for Ohtani and Yamamoto and the Corbin Burnes trade, but those are very sporadic across a 4-month offseason that just doesn't work. We need more excitement in the offseason. We need a big couple of weeks of all kinds of crazy signings all at once to really push the game forward and keep baseball at the front of everyone's mind. This isn't working out. Now, people have suggested a deadline for free agency signing. I disagree with that. I don't think that would work because I think teams would push it right to the end and then try and sign players on the cheap before they get locked out and can't play. So that's not going to work. The Players Association is never going to agree with that, but there has to be some way to push this forward. Yes, and I understand an agent like Scott Boras is trying to get every last dollar for his client. He's also trying to get every last dollar for himself in this situation. And it's very rare that 4 of the top free agents are represented by the same agent. But it does not look good for Major League Baseball. And a guy like Montgomery and Snell, if this drags on longer and longer, we're going to cause more problems because they're going to get behind and not be ready for the start of the season. So this is a huge down for me in terms of the system. We have to figure out a way to get players signed sooner and create more buzz in Major League Baseball's off season. Thank you so much for making it all the way into another video here on 3 Up, 3 Down. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We have all kinds of content going to be coming out through the 2024 season and a bunch of preview stuff all leading up to Major League Baseball's official opening day on March 28th. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We are pushing for 500 subscribers, and I'd love to hit that number before the All-Star break. So let's make it happen here on 3 Up, 3 Down. Share it out with all your baseball friends. As always, make sure you go check out some of my previous videos. We're doing a lot of videos on analytics and trade trees of late, so if that's into your wheelhouse, go check those out. And until next time, take care, everyone.